You might have noticed that the Pro 3, which I love, is gone. And in its place is a Moog Grandmother. So let's address that, hear a comparison of them, and try to understand why this Moog has some magic. Okay, no, the Pro 3 is not gone. It's just on the floor for now. And also, no, this video is not sponsored by Moog, but it is sponsored by Melodics, but more on them later. So I bought the Moog Grandmother on a hunch that it would be a good replacement for the Moog Siren that I used to have. I was kind of looking for something a bit more playable in the studio, so the Grandmother kind of came to be. And maybe not so much in a live setting, but in the studio it was a hit, and it also quickly replaced my Pro 3. After using the Moog for a few months now, I can easily see why some think that there is some sort of magic to it. And I can't definitively say that it's X that makes a Moog sound good, but whatever X is does exist, and it's still a mystery to me, and maybe one of you know what it is and would be so kind to enlighten me down below. But for now, let's listen to a comparison of these two side by side and why I started to use the Moog more than the Pro 3. All right, so we have an initialized patch on both of the synthesizers. The filters are up, resonance is down, one oscillator set to Sawtooth, and what I used to think was the secret sauce for Moogs, which is the oscillator key sync, is turned on both synths. So let's check it out. Here's a Pro 3, Grandmother. Do you kind of hear a difference? Let's try filter down about 50%. Let's get a little bit of a warmer sound. Interesting. Let's try it really low. Not gonna lie, I don't hear anything at this point. Maybe it's just my headphones. I can't hear the bass. But here's one thing that's interesting. I think the Moog sounds better without resonance turned up, because as soon as you turn the resonance up, I mean, it sounds good, but you lose a lot of the big bottom end, that bass that I like, right? The resonance up on here. So it's kind of difficult to say, right? Because they both sound pretty good, but for whatever reason, I think the Moog just kind of has some of this magic to it, especially when we go to a pulse width. So let's go ahead and try that out now. Resonance down, filter up, all the goodness. Let's try the Pro 3. Let's get filters down about halfway. Listen to that. I really think it comes from the mixer. Because the mixer just kind of saturates it, right? I mean, that's classic for Moogs. I'm not sure if it's the same on the Grandmother. I'm guessing it is, which is basically past 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you start to really saturate the signal and kind of create a new wave shape that you can then tame. With the filter. Like, listen to that. Like I said, I mean, it's kind of all personal choice at this point, right? And for whatever reason, I've been leaning more towards the Grandmother. And of course, at this point, I would start, you know, adding this envelope. I'm sure I can get it squelchy, but I think that that loses that low end that I really like that I can get out of this Moog. So watch, let's throw a little beat on here. I got some loops going. Sure, let's try something like that. Let's quantize that in there. Sure, I'll work with that, right? Let's go to the Pro 3, and then this can do crazy digital stuff that the Grandmother can never do. Let's see. All right, any of this stuff. I mean, that's kind of digital, but you know what I'm saying. Let's try, where's it at? My favorite. This isn't my favorite, but. Right? You could throw something like this on there if you wanted. Let's try that. Sure, grab that, quantize that, turn this down. Let's go, what's gonna be effect number 2? We'll do super plate. Parameters, a little bit of breathe delay. Oh, what was that? One more time? You're impressed with my keyboard skills? Wow, neither am I. I'm kidding, of course. But this is actually a good time to give a shout out to Melodics because they have legitimately been helping me improve my keyboard skills. And of course, they are today's video sponsor. In case you're not familiar with Melodics, it's a super fun way to practice and learn how to play the keys, finger drum, or play electronic drums by doing. Melodics has just released a new feature called Songs, which enables you to learn how to play music from some of your favorite artists. There are currently over 60 songs in Melodics, with more being added each week. All of these covers are high quality and curated. For example, my favorite to learn right now is April 14th by Aphex Twin. It's grade 5, which is a little difficult for me, but it's pretty rewarding when you nail it. So if you want a fun way to practice the piano, or if you're curious about Melodics and want to see their wide selection of songs, then use the link down in the description below to get yourself a sweet discount. All right, let's get back into it. Now, in terms of features, the Pro 3 smokes the Grandma on paper, right? It's got 3 oscillators instead of the 2. It's got 1 digital wavetable. It's got 4 envelopes instead of the 1, 3 LFOs instead of 1, 2 multi-effects instead of the analog reverb. I mean, a ton more, which is why I have no plans on replacing the Grandmother or replacing the Pro 3 with my Grandmother. But for doing what I usually end up doing on my Pro 3, making the same sound, aka this sound right here, I think the Grandmother does it a bit better, to be honest. And I don't know what it is about this Moog that I love so much, but it just works and it cuts through a mix so well, and honestly a bit too well at times, but it's pretty easy to tame with some EQs. And plus there are no presets on here, which is kind of a nice touch because every track that you make, you're leaving off where your last track was, so it kind of sews this common thread between your music without much effort. And I guess another thing with no presets is that it kind of forces you to commit and press record, right? Record some sound, pushing you to move forward with your music. So what can we learn from the Moog Grandmother and apply it to our mindset and our music even if we don't have one? Well, it's easy. Simplicity rules, press record, and keep creating. Create faster than you can talk yourself out of it. I hope that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Anyway, I appreciate you more than you know. And if you enjoyed this hang, I would greatly appreciate it if you could let me know by pressing the like button down below and possibly subscribing. And until next week, my friend, you already know the drill. Keep creating, share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace. Oh, actually, if you're curious about that sound I was talking about that the Pro 3 makes better than the Grandmother, check this video out right here. All right, see ya.